Hi there. So I was viewing some YouTube videos and came across some Proko stuff. Realized he had a challenge going on, and I was kind of in the mood to do some challenges because I found it a great way to put your work out there and to see how it stands. And it's a really good way, I find, for myself at least, to push my limits and boundaries. So the theme that Proko had for the month of February was oddbots. And it says in the description of the challenge that one of the assessment criteria would be how fun the shape would be. So I thought a nice way to really break through the conventional shape of a robot was to do a random shape exercise. You know, the kind of exercise where you just draw random shape without giving much thought of what it might be, you know, as random as you can get, and try to, after that, imagine a robot out of these random organic shapes. So, and that's where I got my initial design. I like the third one on the top row very much so. I found it had really odd hind legs, and you know, which pushes the butt up, and I felt I could run with it. So I took that idea and developed it further, and I thought one thing it needed as I was developing it, which I should have thought of earlier, was the function of the robot in order to anchor the design a little bit more. So that's where I came up with this whole idea of thinking that it could probably be like a farmer assistant sort of a robot that would help with the sowing of seeds in the farm. I had some other head design. I had a different head design initially, and then I kind of drew some other head designs, and I replaced that later on in my illustration because I thought I wanted it to have a more android and not so much of a human head, more of an android head that, you know, had a singular uni eye, as if it were probably kind of assessing the ground as it took samples and stuff. So it had like 3 hands and probably multifunctional hands that could probably do sampling and other stuff like that. And you could see, like in the design, I had it having some vegetables hanging by the side, so it's probably able to do some sampling as well of the seeds that it planted, of the crops that was produced, and also do some sampling after that. And because I live here in Malaysia, and I wanted to give it a whole Southeast Asian feel, the hat naturally, the straw hat naturally had to come. I have a hat like that in my own garden, which I use till it's quite worn out already, and I thought it'd be nice because it can double as a place for the solar panels to be, and I thought it'd be quite sensible to put a straw hat. I mean, you know, one might think that, oh, why would a robot need a straw hat anyway? Probably it's because it had probably delicate stuff or delicate electronical components that are in the head, for which it does assessments with. So this odd little robot had a straw hat to probably protect it from the sun to some extent. So that's my rationale, my 6:30 rationale for it. So now off to the design. Sorry, the process that I usually do. I find quite recently, actually, this past few illustrations I was doing, you can see I start off with like an outline first, and I find that having a clear, distinct outline helps a lot. I wouldn't say I'm a very seasoned illustrator. I'm kind of okay. I do quite a bit of design work recently for some productions, but I feel I still need to have some lines to help me set some boundaries with the shape as I paint. I previously painted a painting for the previous challenge, for the character design challenge, Splinter, and I found that I can't really kind of sketch while I paint. I prefer doing the line work first as much as I possibly can. Not to say I would not change it at all. I still would if I do find the shapes a bit weird. So I do change the shapes when I need to, if I do discover it's not very appropriate after some point. And usually then after that, I would knock out the base color or the base fill of the subject matter that you're painting. So I would fill that with like a kind of mask that area out, and then put in the local color. I was quite doubtful of this process initially, but I found that established artists like Aaron Blaise kind of use that. They put in the local colors first, and then I would put on the, you'll find the notes that I've put on in this video as well. I would put the shadow layer. That would be on the multiply mode, and usually it's a cool color like a blue. And in this case, because the sky is generally blue and the light is quite warm, so I would think that a blue shadow would be quite suitable for this one. Previously, I noticed that when I paint, my shadows were oftentimes very fuzzy, my cast shadows, and I've learned to kind of harden the edge of my shadows, and it looked a lot better in this one. So this was one challenge that I'm still trying to overcome myself. And the other thing is what happens after that, after my shadow, is I usually come to a point where I kind of am quite happy with the forms that the shadow has created. I would take both the shadow layer and the local color layer and flatten them, and then I would add in the highlights, and that's done with a brush painting directly onto that layer. With a color dodge mode, and the color dodge mode, and usually with like a warmer color, like a slightly darker yellow, so that it doesn't look overexposed, depending on the material as well. If it's a metallic material, I will allow it to kind of overexpose a little bit till it gets white. But other than that, I would probably use a kind of diffuse brush to kind of give it sort of diffused look. Yep, so that's my painting process generally for most of my paintings, I would say, including this one. So yeah, the whole idea of this robot, also one thing I forgot is that, you know, the seats are placed above, and it's completely kind of environmental friendly because it uses like solar power, renewable energy, and the the seats are funneled through the body via gravity because it's, you know, placed higher on the butt. So it has kind of comical take on it as well. So, you know, sometimes I would imagine that this robot would have seats kind of stuck halfway, and it would kind of use the two hind legs and wiggle it out of the body so that it funnels down. So it uses completely gravity. It doesn't use like electrical power to project the seed out of its body into the ground. It would use like something as natural as gravity, existing gravity. And you can see one hand has a shovel, and it would need to balance on 3 legs. There's 2 legs behind and one right at the chest in the center. There's a bit more, it has a sharper edge, you know, to dig into the ground and anchor itself. So yeah, that's my design. And there's a rake also, not to forget. Probably, you know, if it perceives that the ground is a little bit too hard, it might do a bit of raking before it plants the ground. So I have kind of some things thought out. So I hope you enjoy this video, and also enjoy my thought process for my design for this entry. Sadly, I was only able to submit one. I'm not sure if they allowed for multiple submissions. But I was only able to do one because I was doing also another one for Huyon. Yeah, so I'm kind of in the mood for challenges this month. I found it a good way to really push my painting skills and my techniques. So I hope you enjoy this. Thank you very much for watching.